Once upon a time, there was a happy little girl who lived in a cottage by the edge of the woods. Whenever she went out, she wore a bright red cape that her grandma had made for her, so everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, when Little Red Riding Hood's mother had been busy baking, she asked Red Riding Hood to take a cake to her grandma, who lived deep in the woods. "Grandma's not feeling very well," said her mother. "Would you like to take her this nice cake and some honey to make her feel better?" "Yes, please," said Little Red Riding Hood. So they packed a basket of treats for Grandma, and Little Red Riding Hood set off. "Remember," her mother called after her, "go straight to Grandma's house. Stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." "I won't," Little Red Riding Hood promised. "I'll do just as you say." The morning was bright and sunny, and Little Red Riding Hood watched the bees that buzzed in the flowers and the butterflies that fluttered past her. But she didn't see the big grey wolf that hid in the shadows. "Good morning," growled the wolf with a big toothy grin. "Oh," said Red Riding Hood. "Where are you going to this fine sunny day?" Little Red Riding Hood giggled. She'd never met a wolf before. But he was so polite that Little Red Riding Hood forgot her promise and answered straight away. "My grandma is ill, so I'm taking her some cake and honey. She lives all alone in the old hunter's cottage." The wolf licked his lips. He thought that Little Red Riding Hood looked as sweet as honey. But just when he was thinking of gobbling her up, he heard the woodcutter working nearby. "Timber!" "Well," he sighed, "I must be going. But if I had more time, I would pick your grandma some of those pretty flowers. Over there, beyond the path." The flowers did look lovely, and they were so close to the path that Little Red Riding Hood couldn't see the harm in stopping to pick some. "What a kind wolf," she thought. "These flowers are sure to cheer Grandma up." And while she was busy, the sneaky wolf stayed on the path and hurried to Grandma's house. When he arrived, the wolf tapped gently on Grandma's door. "Who is it?" called Grandma from inside the house. "It's Little Red Riding Hood," squeaked the wolf in his best little girl voice. "I've brought you some cake and honey for tea." "Oh, how kind! Lift up the latch and let yourself in," said Grandma. And the wolf opened the door and leapt into the room. "Arr!" he roared, and chased poor Grandma out of bed. Quick as a flash, the wolf put on Grandma's shawl and climbed into her bed, just in time to hear Little Red Riding Hood coming up the path. Little Red Riding Hood knocked on Grandma's door. "Who is it?" croaked the wolf in Grandma's bed. "Poor Grandma," thought Little Red Riding Hood. "She must have a very sore throat to sound so strange." "It's only me, Grandma," she called through the door. "I have brought you something nice for tea." "Oh, how kind," said the wolf in his grandma voice. "Lift up the latch and let yourself in." So Little Red Riding Hood did. Inside the cottage it was dark. "Come closer, my dear," cooed the wolf in Grandma's bed. "Let me see your face." In the shadows, Little Red Riding Hood thought Grandma looked very strange. "Grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood in surprise, "what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," answered the wolf with a wink. "And what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with." He smiled, showing his big, sharp teeth. "Grandma, what big teeth you have," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with." Roar! Little Red Riding Hood screamed and ran to the door, just as the woodcutter was passing Grandma's cottage. He saw the wolf and chased after him with his axe. Whether the wolf was lucky and escaped to the mountains, or whether the woodcutter caught him and turned him into a warm winter hat, he never said. But that big grey wolf was never seen in the woods again. And the woodcutter had cake and honey for tea any time he wanted it.